You're live.
Yeah, welcome back to the Hellraisers Bowl, the Deja Vu edition. If you thought you were seeing the start of the show, you probably were, but
just take it.
Yeah, we're not going to do the whole thing over again.
So where were we? Can I just?
Well, actually, we were talking about the Greg Chaisson interview in Badlands, and that we're gonna play "Dreams in the Dark" first.
Right.
And I would have to say that if I had to pick a favorite Badlands song, that "Dreams in the Dark" would be my personal favorite. Even though, arguably, I think High Wire is just as good.
Well, I like Winter's Call. I mean, I liked Winter's Call too. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, they're all great. The band was just incredible.
Yeah,
what a great lineup.
So I mean, well, let's go ahead and play the video, and so we can get because.
Are you sure we don't have to do the whole introduction all over again? Because we could start again. All right. Sure. Okay. Good.
Thank you.
And so
Jesus.
we got it queued up. Are we? We're good. Okay. You got it? All right. This is Badlands, Dreams in the Dark, right here on the Hellraisers Bowl. Yeah, Badlands, Dreams in the Dark, right here on the Hellraisers Bowl. And right now, I believe that we are joined by Greg Chaisson, the bass player from Badlands. Greg, are you on the line?
I am on the line.
Very cool. You're live on the Hellraisers Bowl.
What's up, Greg? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
All right. This is David here.
Okay, David.
So, you're in Arizona right now, right?
Yep, I'm in lovely Phoenix.
How's the weather, bro? Is it hot there?
It's getting there. It's supposed to be up to 90 by Friday and Saturday, 90, 91. So
wow, that is hot.
The fun's about to begin.
Yeah, I did 20 summers there. That was enough for me.
20? Wow.
Well, if you don't live here, you don't realize that summer actually goes from like the end of March until like the end of November, when it's still over 100 degrees sometimes in November.
Yeah.
So,
but now it's a different kind of heat, right?
Yeah, it's the really hot kind.
It's a really hot kind. Because a lot of people say that it's like a drier type of heat, so it doesn't bother
you know what it is that
it
is. It's you don't step outside and burst into a pool of sweat. Okay,
right?
You actually have to work your way into it, and then but there's a couple months out of the year. I would say July to early September, Greg. We do have humidity. It's just not like it is
not
here.
Stifling.
Yeah,
it's like not like Florida.
Yeah, it's like 35% humidity, whereas here it's 100%. You know?
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous.
But still, when it's 115 degrees and you got 35% humidity, and you got the monsoons, and that's what we get. We get the monsoons there, and which can be pretty cool at times. But yeah,
well, they get this new thing out here now the last couple of years, and they call it a haboob, which is I think the Middle Eastern term for dust storm. Okay. And they get these dust storms out here. They're like 35 miles wide and, several hundred feet tall, and they just basically encompass like the whole valley. So it'll start like south of Chandler and work its way all the way to Peoria, and it's just a huge wall of dust. And it's kind of like if you're in the tornado in like the Wizard of Oz, you'll see like lawn chairs and small cars, cats, scorpions.
Oh, wow.
They all go flying by in these huge haboobs, as they call them. I coach baseball in the summer. I coach college. They have a college league out here, and I've coached them it the last 3 years. And we'll be in the middle of a game, and you can see this dust storm off in the horizon. You're trying to figure out how many innings you're going to get in before this thing hits you.
I remember because because I was living in Mesa for 7 years. That's where my house was. And it seemed like all those dust storms came from the east, and it's like a big giant wall. It's like something out of a movie, that you can see it coming at you, and it's real quiet.
Like in that movie Hidalgo, with where the guy goes to race the horse in the famous Middle Eastern race somewhere in Persia or whatever, and he's trying to outrun it to get in this little castle. That's exactly what it's like.
And and once it hits you, it's just a mess.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, they can't. These people, they can't figure out. They've never had scorpions on their property, and then after one of these dust storms, all of a sudden they have scorpions, and they don't realize that they're blowing these scorpions from like Gila Bend out to Sun City somewhere or something.
Oh wow!
But it's a real joy. As far as the heat, people always, because I coach, people always say, "Oh, Arizona, it's so great. You can play baseball here year round." And you can, but when you're playing it on a 5 o'clock game in July when it's 119 degrees out, that's a whole other sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a different animal. It really is brutal. I mean, I played golf in it, and it was just, you just can't. You have to stay hydrated. I mean, it's just if you don't, you're gonna die. I remember one time back in the old mannequin days, Greg, when we used to play rockers over there off of Indian School, I remember we had a clock. We put a clock on our dash one time, and the whole clock just melted all over our dash, and that tells you how hot it is. I mean, that's just crazy hot. So, but that's back in this.
I had a friend when I was a kid, and we would go down to this record store called Bullfrog Records, which is no longer there. It was at 7th Avenue in Camelback, and the guy carried all kinds of imports. So the friend of mine who was a drummer that I played with at the time, he decided to buy this record by this band called Guru, and he bought it because the album cover looked really cool. So, and it was expensive. It was like $20. In
15% or more on car insurance. Visit Geico.com for a free rate quote.
Are we getting hit with a commercial?
We just got a commercial come popping in. What was that? Did you hear that, Greg?
I just heard that.
Yeah, that was all right.
So, should I keep going here?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So he buys this record, and we take it home, we listen to it, and of course it sucks. It's nothing like what we wanted, so he wants to bring it back, but he knows he can't bring it back just because he doesn't like it. So he decides he's going to sit it on the hood of or on the dash of his car, and it's in the summertime. Well, he couldn't get it to warp fast enough, so he left it out there for a couple hours, and it warped so bad it looked like a Ruffles potato chips. So he stuffed it back in the sleeve of the record and tried to take it back to the guy. He said, "Yeah, I bought this record a couple hours ago and it's warped." And you couldn't even close the package. That's how warped it was. The guy just laughed at us and actually said, "I'll take it back from you." And then he hung it on the wall and he said, "Don't leave your records in the car in the summer."
Well, it gets stupid hot out there, but and I still like Arizona, but I came for a change of atmosphere, Greg. So I'm good.
I'll tell you what, Florida, it's got its own different thing, because I recall being on the road there in Badlands, and we would, you could get all ready to go to the gig, and I remember we were playing somewhere, I can't remember what city it was in, but we were doing an outdoor sort of thing, and as we were getting in the van from the hotel, we were all of a sudden soaking wet, just from the humidity, from just going from the hotel room to the van. And then the gig was outdoors late afternoon, like 4 or 5 o'clock, and none of our guitars would even remotely stay in tune. The necks were just floating all over the place. I never experienced anything like that out here. You can still do stuff out here. It won't destroy your guitar.
Right.
Yeah, you can hardly ever keep the guitars in tune here in Florida.
So, Greg, you and I had a long chat yesterday, and
we did.
Yeah, and it was nice. Greg and I haven't spoken in a long, long time, so it was nice to catch up. And we go way back. I don't even know how far we go back, Greg. To be flat out honest with you, but the thing is that Greg had he played with Badlands for a long time, and I think that a lot of the listeners would like to hear just basically some of your experiences out of that. I know that I've had a few experiences with you guys that I shared with you yesterday, which I'll share again tonight. But just from a personal point of view, Badlands was exactly, what the name says. The band was bad. It was awesome. And Ray, I taught voice in Arizona for about 3 years, and I don't know if I told you this, Greg, but what I found out was just that, I used to have these kids or not kids, but everybody who came in just fill out a, kind of like a questionnaire. So I got to know them, know what they wanted to do with their voice, blah, blah, blah. But I also had influences, and I'm not going to exaggerate this at all. I would say 65% of the people that wanted to sing rock had Ray as their influence, one of their influence. Yeah, and I'm not exaggerating at all. And I understood why. I mean, he was just an amazing singer, and and I'm envious of the guy. I always have been. So, and I know Greg got to see him sing firsthand every night. So, anything you want to elaborate on that, Greg?
Well, one thing that kind of stands out for me when I think of Ray Gillen is tone. Like, he just had incredible tone.
Ray had something completely different than anyone that I've ever really heard before or since. And Ray had the ability to have two tones going on in his voice at the same time. So he would have like this high kind of smooth vocal thing going on, but underneath it, somehow with his voice, he could get kind of this rougher edge that was almost like completely separate from his regular voice. And I'm not exactly sure how he did that. I'm sure it was something he was born with. I know he had singing lessons when he was a kid, but I think when you have Ray's ability, I think it's a gift. One of the unique things about Ray is like when we did rehearsal, and we would rehearse, when we were doing a record, or if we were getting ready to go on tour, we could rehearse 3 or 4 hours, a night, 5 nights a week. Ray would sing every single song all the way through. He never just sat there and said, I can't do this today. And the other thing is when we were in the studio, no matter how many takes we took of a song, or or better yet, if we were just working out the song, working out the arrangement in the studio, or changing something, or it's a song we had just written, Ray sang every single take. He never. It was like a live show every time, and then he would crack jokes while he was doing it, and the whole 9 yards. But I never met anyone that had the interest to just do every single take, every single song, every single sound check, every single everything, and actually the ability to do it and just be able to pull that off without blowing his voice out. His voice always stayed the same way. And one of the a funny stories, we were touring with a band, and we were doing like arenas with a couple bands, and one of the singers of the other bands, we could hear him in the other dressing room, and he had, he's a good singer, real good singer, well-known guy. I don't want to say because I don't want to, accidentally insult anyone, but he would go through these whole vocal routines, all the me, they, all the noises that guys that take vocal lessons do, which is great. And Ray never did any of that. Ray would sit there and we'd listen to this guy through the wall, and we were always on before this band. And then Ray would just basically stand up and he'd just go, okay, I'm ready to go. That's my vocal lesson. That's my warm-up. And he'd go out and sing, and of course we just crack up about it. And he never, his voice never failed him. It was a very unique thing.
Well, awesome. And I have firsthand of that too, because I remember I went to a Badlands rehearsal in L.A. Back in the I guess it was in the mid '90s or something like that,
probably at Mates.
Yeah, that's where it was. It was at Mates, definitely. And and I was staying with Jeff Martin was the drummer at the time, and I was staying at his house, and I went to rehearsal, and I remember sitting there, and I told Greg about this yesterday. I remember sitting there. I was about probably 10 or 15 feet from Ray. Ray was sitting on a bar stool with a microphone, and you guys were playing, and he was just singing so effortless. It was easy for him. I can't even get the word out. It was so easy for him. And I remember I had that Oprah moment where it was like that aha moment. It was like, whatever it is. It's like, I'm not easily impressed. And I got goosebumps, and I get goosebumps thinking about it now because it was so unbelievable. And, and I've been on stage with some good singers. I mean, I've been on stage with Priest, Rob, so many times. I know you have too, Greg. It's just, but I remember it like a back of my hand how good it was and how he made it sound so easy. And I'm just going, this is just not fair. It just wasn't fair. And so I that's when I really became a big fan.
Yeah, he definitely was one of those rare talents.
Because I never got to see him. I never got to see him live, until then, and then I saw him later on. But yeah, I mean, but just a great band anyway. So
he was an interesting character, that's for sure. And Ray, I mean, if you were around Ray had the ability to make you feel like you were important, like you were his best friend when you were around him. And Ray was very charming that way. So if Ray knew how to make everyone feel like they were supposed to be there or they were important. And that was again, that's just another part of what his deal was all about. I mean, he had kind of that whole kind of corny way of saying. He had that whole kind of ambassador sort of thing where when someone came in, he was there greeting him, and he was real friendly. I mean, the record company people all loved him, and the concert promoters all loved him, and everyone thought he was the nicest guy he ever met, and that was just part of his personality. A very unique guy. I think about him all the time, and oddly enough, we didn't get along all the time. But anytime you're in a band for 5 years with the same people, you don't always get along. But I miss him. I miss him a lot.
Yeah, well, and I can imagine what else could have been done if he was still with us.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like.
Well, you and I were talking yesterday, and I said, if Ray was still alive, there's probably a fairly good chance that there would have been some form of Badlands reunion. Like a lot of bands go out and tour, on the brand for now and then. And I don't think it's the only thing that any of us would have done. But I think that there would have been a chance of us doing that because after he did pass away, Jake and I discussed it, and I don't want to say never, but I can't imagine the situation where we were never going to go out again as Badlands without Ray. We had kind of decided, and we turned out a lot of money, especially money overseas and stuff, to just get a different singer. Jake and I get a different singer, go over and be Badlands. And I know Jake pretty well. I can't see the situation where he would change his mind on that, and I wouldn't change my mind on it either. I mean, it's just one of those things that, even though Jake was the name guy before, the band, when the band was getting put together, and that's how the band was sold, kind of as, Jake E. Lee's new band. But the thing about Ray, you're never going to be able to get past the part that, when you think of Badlands, you probably think of Ray's voice before you think of anything else, because it was so unique. So just one of those things that I don't know what would have happened had he lived, but I don't think we would ever go out without, as Badlands without him.
Well, right. I don't know if I told you this, Greg, yesterday, but I guess there was when I was out there for that short time when I was out there with Jeff. I remember I was out at the club, and Jeff calls me, and he goes, and I'm sure he said it all tongue in cheek, but he goes, man, you have no idea how close you just became the new singer of Badlands tonight. And I guess it's just, and I told him on the phone. I remember this so well. I told him, because there's no way in hell I would do that gig, I mean, he goes, I go, what happened? He goes, oh, we just had an argument. We had an argument with the label, whatever. He goes, but it all got worked out. And I said, perfect. But, I mean, I sit and think about, just, me singing along with what Ray's done and stuff like that. And I'm sure I could do it. But I the thing is, I don't know if it's something I'd want to do, because the guy was just amazing. He was just, and I don't say that about a lot of singers, And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing.
He does have one of those signature type styles.
Well, yeah, and here's the other thing. There's, all these bands that are come back out, Greg and I have a friend of ours who's, who Greg played with for a little while, was Robert Mason. He's with Warrant now, and and we all know each other and everything. See, I could see somebody replacing Jenny Lane. I can see, somebody replacing, somebody in LA Guns and everything. I can't see somebody replacing Ray. I just can't see it happening. I think that's the reason why Jakey feels the way he does.
It's funny because, when we parted company with Ray for a while, we just everything kind of came to loggerheads at the end of the, I don't know what year it was, but near the end of the band. And so, we kind of, I don't know if we fired Ray or he quit, or we both did both. And it was over something stupid, like we wanted some input in writing the lyrics. And Ray didn't, Ray was very committed to writing the lyrics, but he wanted some input in writing the music. It was all kind of childish, and it came to a head, and it all exploded, and we parted company. Well, then we started talking to all these singers to come in. No one wanted to come in, and they'd say, "Oh, you want to go out as Badlands?" Yeah. Oh no, I don't want. And some of these guys were singers that had been in national acts. No one wanted to do it. We got a chick singer for a while that thought was going to do it, and then even there was something that happened where she thought that it would be just almost impossible to follow Ray, and he was just that kind of a guy, and I was telling you yesterday, David, the funny thing is, like, Jake started a band after Badlands called Wicked Alliance with this singer named Mandy Lyon, who's a very unique vocal, like a vocal stylist, has a real low kind of a that kind of thing going on. It's very different. And I remember asking Jake, I said, why did you pick this guy, over all the other singers that wanted to work with you? And he said, because no matter, how anyone hears this, it won't be compared to Badlands, and it won't be compared to Ray, or it won't be compared to Ozzy. It's something so completely different that it has to be taken up, on its own merit, as opposed to, this isn't Badlands, because he wasn't trying to do Badlands again. So he took the singer that was so obviously different than Ray and unique in his own way. I'm not saying he's not a good singer. I'm just saying it was completely different than what Ray did. And that's kind of the way Jake kind of,
How long
once he's kind of done with something, then he's ready to move on to the next thing anyway. And, you know, and it's probably going to be different than anything he's done before. I think we talked yesterday. He has a new band called, I think it's called J.K. Lee's Red Dragon Cartel, and I think they're just about done recording their record. And I think on that record he's got like 5 or 6 different singers. I know Paul Di'Anno's singing on a song from Iron Maiden, Robin Zander sang on a song, Sass Jordan, and there's some other people that I their names escape me now, but it's just completely different than anything. And some of the stuff I've heard from it's different than, doesn't sound like Badlands, doesn't sound like Ozzy. Something gets a little more melodic. It's just different. So it's going to be real cool.
Right on.
Awesome.
So okay. So you left Badlands when? What year was that?
Like 92 or 90. Let's see. Maybe 92, 93. I was there at the very end. At the very end of it, after Ray had left, and we had parted company with Jeff. Also, Jake was talking about maybe starting another band, and I had decided I wanted to move back to California. So I want to say it was like 92 or 93.
Okay, so but you and I we were in a little project together for a while. What year was that? I mean, when did you? Because that was in the mid-90s, wasn't it?
Might have been like 95, 96.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
I was thinking yesterday how we met. You know how we met? We met through Keeler.
Is that how we met? Jim Keeler? Okay.
Jim Keeler, and if you're from Arizona, everyone knows Jim Keeler.
Yeah, Jim Keeler. Jim Keeler is a cartoon character to us.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's. I mean, he's.
Jim Keeler's this guy. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Jim Keeler's got his own Wizard of Oz thing going on. He's a real cool guy.
What's funny is that's exactly it right there. You know, and I mean, Jim is. There was a band out of Arizona, a very popular band called Surgical Steel, and you were in Surgical Steel for a little while, weren't you?
I started the band with Keeler like in the early '80s, and actually got kicked out of the band because I had the audacity to say, "Let's go to L.A. and play." Like we had the opportunity to do some shows in the early '80s, like '81, in L.A., playing at some of the good places, the Country Club and Perkins Palace and this and that. Alan Niven, who eventually managed eventually managed Guns N' Roses, but was managing Great White at the time, was interested in possibly managing us, and he was setting us up to do a demo. And and the rest of the guys said, "No, we don't want to go to L.A. We wanted to stay here." And I said, "No, we have to go to L.A." And they said, "Then you're out of the band, you go." So I did.
Jeez. Yeah, Surgical Steel was kind of, and Jeff Martin was a singer for Surgical Steel, and then he went on to be the singer for Racer X, and then he was in Badlands after that. And great drummer, great singer. But anyways, the thing was that Surgical Steel was like what were they like? I always thought they were kind of like the mini Judas Priest. Is that fair assumption, Greg?
Yeah, and it's funny, when it started out, it was at the beginning of the new wave of British heavy metal thing when we started it. And so it was supposed to be a cross between like Iron Maiden, because, my bass playing probably has more in line with what Steve Harris does as opposed to what Ian Hill from Judas Priest does. And so it's supposed to be kind of a cross between Iron Maiden and like earlier Priest, before the You Got Another Thing Coming sort of period. And at the time when, we were doing shows over there, and, we were playing outdoor festivals in June wearing full leather jackets and, all the spikes and the leather clothes, and people thought we were completely insane, but we were like actually, doing it up as right as we could. And then Halford, who happened to be, in Phoenix, who was living in Phoenix at the time, he heard about the band and started coming down and singing with it. And that's when the whole thing turned into kind of like a Judas Priest clone. Jeff kind of sings like Rob, or that's his favorite singer. And so the whole thing changed from being the kind of the edgier street sort of Iron Maiden sort of thing to being the more, almost had more in line with Def Leppard. It became like a Def Leppard version of Judas Priest. Well,
I remember when I was coming through Phoenix back in 84, 85. I think it was 85 actually. And it was back in the mannequin days, and that's when we came to Phoenix. That's all we heard was Surgical Steel. This is their town, And then I got to know everybody, Well, almost I got to know Jim and Greg and I actually became really good friends with Jeff. And then Jeff was the one I was hanging around with Jeff and Jim the most. And then I remember one night we were playing, and Jeff was out in the crowd, and Halford was out in the crowd, and they both came up on stage, and we ended up doing, I want to say it was like either Green Man Alicia or Diamonds and Rust or something like that.
Oh, awesome.
And I remember I'm wedged in between these two guys, and these guys are just, screaming away, and I'm going, okay, and I can scream, but, I was a different type of screamer, and it was just, and it was, I remember thinking to myself, okay, one of these guys don't belong with the other, but it was a fun night. And I remember thinking, okay, that was one of the first times I ever was up on stage with Rob, because it happened many, many times. And,
awesome.
but the thing is it's just kind of ironic that later on down the road that, Jeff ended up playing drums for Badlands. He was on the second record. Is that right, Greg?
Yeah, the funny thing is, Jeff was in L.A. and he was doing Racer X, and they had a side band. The thing about Racer X, when you go to see Racer X, you're basically going to see Paul Gilbert. And
sure.
I think Jeff sings really good on those records, but I mean, the focal point of that band is it's a musician's band, and everyone wants to hear the that's what they go to. That's the main selling point of that band.
Right.
But Jeff is almost kind of overlooked in that band, and so him and Paul Gilbert had another band called the Electric Fence, and they'd play all these crazy cover songs, and they'd play in Hollywood. And we were looking for a drummer. We had just parted company with Eric, and we'd already been through 25, 30 drummers trying to find someone that was different than, we were kind of getting all the same kind of drummers. We were looking for someone completely different than what the norm was at the time. And so I had been talking about, you should check out Jeff Martin, and their thing was, well, isn't he a singer? And I said, yeah, he sings, but he was originally a drummer. I mean, I played in bands with Jeff back in the early 70s. I know I'm dating myself here, but I've known Jeff since high school, and he was always a drummer. You didn't learn to sing until the late 70s, until Priest the whole deal with Priest kind of taught him how to sing. He started being able to emulate Rob and actually found out how to do it. And so they came down, like Jake and Ray and I went down and seen the Electric Fence one night playing at the Troubadour or something, and Jeff was singing and playing drums at the same time. And they thought, yeah, he can sing, but he's actually a pretty good drummer. And Jeff kind of played a lot like Mitch Mitchell from Hendrix or Ian Pace, really fast hands. He was just a completely different single bass guy, single bass pedal, completely different. So when he finally did come down and audition, he was the most different guy of all the guys we saw, and he ended up getting the gig. And that's what we wanted, someone completely different.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a good drummer. He really is, and he actually
drummer first.
Yeah, he actually played with Michael Schenker for a little while too. So.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Cool.
So
he's done a lot of stuff. He played with UFO for a while, and then he played with Schenker. I know he played with George Lynch for a while. I think he did a little bit of a tour with Dawkins. I think he's played with Leslie West, and he does a lot of records for Mike Varney's label up there, Shrapnel. I've done probably I want to say 8 or 10 records with him.
He actually got up on stage with us in Oakland on this last tour, and it was so funny because I think about 15 minutes before he came up to do Doctor with us, he actually thought he was going to play drums. Well, we were going from one song into Doctor so fast there would have been no way that he could have played drums. So he just came up on stage and started singing. Right now, the funny part about this was he pulls out the mic. And he starts swinging swirling the mic around, and I swear he missed Schenker's head by inches. I mean,
wow.
And our tour manager was just like, "Oh my God!" Yeah, I saw it. I was like, I told Jeff, I said, "Jeff, you got to calm down, man. He's jumping up and down, the whole stage is moving and everything." And it was funny, but he was swinging this microphone by the cord, and it missed Michael by inches. I mean, inches. I was like,
Maybe it was on purpose.
Maybe. Yeah, anything's possible. I mean, I don't know how that relationship ended, but they seem like everything was okay. So,
I'll tell you an interesting story with Jeff is we met Rob in the Surgical Steel days. We met him, and I was having a box. I was having a Cooney Holmes fight on pay-per-view at my house where I was living, and Jim Keeler had said, "Hey, I just met Rob Halford at this bar in Phoenix called Mr. Lucky's. It's a rock bar. It's an interesting bar. It's a cowboy bar upstairs, rock bar downstairs.
Yeah.
So and they all left by the same door, so you can imagine what kind of Friday night and Saturday night that was. They had like 100 bouncers there. I was actually a bouncer there for a while. And it was just like you just went out in the parking lot, waited for the rednecks to, start beating up the rockers as they came out of the bar. It was kind of interesting. But Keeler calls me and says, "Hey, are you having the Cooney Holmes fight?" And I say, "Yeah." He says, "I want to bring Rob Halford over to watch the fight. He wants to watch it." And I'm like, get out of here. I mean, you're living in Phoenix at the time. There's no, the biggest rock star here still is Alice Cooper, but he's not like, at the time, he wasn't accessible. You weren't going to run into Alice Cooper down at Rockers.
And Rob is always at Rockers, always.
Oh, yeah?
And he wasn't going to show up at your house. So Keeler says, I want to bring Halford over. And I said, yeah, right. So I said, he says, no, it's really Rob Halford. He's going to come to your house. We're going to watch. And I had like 30 people come over to watch this fight. And so Jeff was coming over. So we didn't tell Jeff that his idol, his hero, Rob Halford, was going to be there at my house. So sure enough, the fight's on. Rob shows up. It's really Rob. And in like 1979 or 1980, whatever it is, you just don't meet people like that in Phoenix at the time. And so, of course, everyone's all kind of geeked out that Rob's actually, at my house, and everyone's talking to him, and we're all talking about everything from, the first Judas Priest album to Sad Wings and Destiny to how do you do that high part in the end of Green Manalici and on and blah, blah, blah. So Jeff shows up late to the fight, and he comes and so I said, don't anyone tell Jeff. So Jeff walks in, and he sees everyone sitting around, hey, what's going on? And he looks over, and he sees Rob sitting on the couch, and he goes, hey, that's Rob Halford. He actually has a complete meltdown and actually jumps in his lap and goes, I can't believe I'm sitting here with Rob Halford. He's my hero. And they were like became friends from that point ever on. Right from that point, it was actually hysterical. We were all laughing so hard watching. It was like the perfect Punk. If they had Punk back then, it would have been a great one because Jeff was meeting his idol in a place, in my living room, someplace you don't expect to meet, Rob Halford. It was pretty interesting.
Well, and then that was kind of the same thing that happened to me because this club that we used to play at, Rockers, was a great club to play and
huge club.
Yeah, it was a big club and we
about
played
3,000 seater.
Yeah, we played there all the time but there was I remember when I first went there, nobody told me that he was going to be there. Okay, I had no idea. I was actually on stage. And if you, I don't know if you remember this, Greg, how the stage, but if you look straight ahead, okay, there were some booths that were in the back of the club, and they kind of went like in an L shape. And I remember I was up on stage and I was singing, and I remember looking and I'm going, and I'm singing, and I'm looking over the crowd. I see this guy. I go, man, that's Halford. As I'm on stage. I'm like, nah, that's not him. I just blew it off. Yeah,
real moments.
Oh, it was ridiculous. I mean, you got to understand. I'm a huge fan. Okay, I mean, you can't. If you're a singer, you're not a fan of Halford, you're an idiot. I mean, that's just the way I look at it.
I agree.
And so, so I remember thinking to myself, this is unbelievable. And then I kept looking, and I actually leaned over to my guitar tech over there, and I said, I think that's Rob. He goes, yeah, that's him. And I was just like, I was young. I was 18, whatever, and I got to go back there and talk to him, and
he's a nice guy. I mean, he's real approachable.
And he's like, he actually introduced himself. Yeah, I'm Rob Halford. I'm like, really? No shit, And
it's like I'm Rob Halford. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you sure are.
When we used to play, our manager when I was in Surgical Steel owned this big warehouse called PC Warehouse, and they used to make these weird kind of paint rollers there that. For masking cars off. Anyway, he would have these huge barrels of paper, and he would make a stage out of them, and he would get some kegs, and then he would charge admission, $5, and you get to come in, and different local bands played there on the stage every Saturday night, and we would do 2 Saturdays out of the month, and then some other band would play, and then we'd have other bands open for us. So we had just met Halford at my house, and the next night was Saturday, and another band was going to play, so we actually convinced him to switch with us without telling him why. Because Rob, had heard about the band, about Surgical Steel, and he wanted to come out and see it. And so Jeff was so freaked out. Jeff was just joining the Surgical Steel. I just approached him about joining it, and he was kind of on the fence about it. And so we're going to go play at the PC Warehouse. Well, we put the rumor out that Rob Halford was going to show up and sing with us because he said he would. So normally you'd get 200 or 300 people that would show up for a gig there. Well, there was a couple of thousand people that showed up for this thing, and half the people were like, they're going to basically see, to prove us wrong that Rob Halford's not going to show up and sing with us. There's no way Rob Halford's showing up and singing with Surgical Steel in the middle of Phoenix in July or whatever it was. And Jeff's so freaked out that he's not really ready to sing with us. So we go out, we're going to do our big show. We get all our amps, and we're dressed with our leather clothes on. Jeff's so worried that he comes out, he's wearing like a pair of dirty jeans and a red T-shirt. He looks like a gardener. He looks like, like an auto mechanic. He's going to go out and play because he doesn't, his logic is, I don't want to, I'm afraid I'll blow it, so I don't want to really look really good and then blow it. I'd rather look crappy, and then if I blow it won't be like the complete thing. And actually came out, he sang really great, and, it was his first gig actually in Surgical Steel, and Jeff was a great singer. Well, then we announced that, hey, we got a special guest that's going to show up, and, he wants to come on stage and sing with us. And I actually have a tape of it somewhere. And all you people that didn't believe it was going to be Rob Halford, you're going to look pretty stupid right now. And sure enough, out comes Halford, and we do like 4 or 5 songs with him, and people just go absolutely nuts. And the funny part is there were still people there at the end of the night going, that wasn't really Rob, that was an impersonator.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
it's just one of those things you don't expect in Phoenix at the time.
No,
it was a great band, and that was a really great thing about it, is having the whole Rob connection when Priest was at its biggest. And Rob tried to help the band. He did his best to try to get something happening for it, and for some reason it just never did.
Well, the same thing happened with Mannequin, because he was when we,
I remember that
he would try to do things for us, and he told me that he's like, and I'll do my best Rob Halford, because he's like, Davey, he's like, man, whenever you're in town, man, I'm gonna be here. That's my best Halford, and I was always Davey.
It's kind of a cross between Sammy Davis Jr. and Rob.
yeah, man. But yeah, far out, far out, man. Yeah, and he would whenever if he was in town and we were playing, and like I said, we probably played there 40, 50 times. Touring through there, he came out, and he wasn't there every night, but he came out, and whenever he came out, he got up on stage with us. I got a real quick little story about Rob that I thought was really cool, was that we actually did Diamonds and Rust, and he turns around, and Mannequin had keyboards. He turns around, and he looks at me, and he goes, Davey, we're going to do this with keyboards. Like, because it's not a keyboard song,
no, it's not keyboard,
and those little things were the things I got the biggest kick out of, but he was a big influence. He was a big influence to everybody, and he was really, a big thing for Arizona. I mean, people, he after a while, I never could say that I never got past it, that it was Rob Halford, Judas Priest, but
right, of course.
But I mean, you got
something. It's something you can basically, it's one of those unique things that you just remember, for the rest of your time. I mean, Priest was Priest, and they were huge, and the fact that you're friends with, with someone like that, and you have access to, asking his opinion. I mean, he used to hire me as his bodyguard, and I'd go around with him, and when he'd go to clubs, I'd just go with him, and people would mug him, mob him, not mug him, but mob him, and if they mugged him, I was getting paid for nothing then, and they would basically, he was like the godfather of heavy metal. I mean, they were one of the bands, along with Sabbath, that were kind of a holdover from the 70s, that were such a huge deal when the whole heavy metal thing took off again. I'll tell you, interesting, this is my last Rob story. This is kind of a unique, interesting story, is Rob had sent us a copy of what's the one that has Electric Eye on it, and you got another thing coming?
Screaming for Vengeance.
Yeah, Screaming for Vengeance. Sorry, he sent us he actually had been in town, and he gave us all a copy of it. It was like a pre-release, just like a tape. So, and he was going to come back. The record wasn't out yet, and so we learned Electric Eye and something else, and you got another thing coming. And so he was coming back in the summer, and we were playing at this. We used to rent out these huge bingo halls and make a stage in there. And every time we played, Halford didn't show up because sometimes he wasn't in town. But we would draw real big because people didn't know that, and they would show up every time to see if Halford would sing with us.
Yeah, same thing with us. People would show up just because they thought he would show up.
Well, just on the chance that he's going to be there.
Right.
Just on the chance. So we're playing at this bingo hall, and there's a couple thousand people at this thing. So we're making pretty good money at this thing. And so Halford shows up, and he's going to go on stage and sing with us. Well, he's never even performed You Got Another Thing Coming or Electric Eye live before with the band. They'd never actually done a show with those songs. And so we actually went out and announced that these are a couple new Judas Priest songs. And we actually played those two songs live, and he came out and sang them with us. He didn't even know we were playing them. We just announced them, and then we brought him out, and then we announced we're going to play these two songs. And he sang those two songs with us before he'd ever sang them live with Judas Priest.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
And the funny part is we did the whole Another Thing Coming thing with the whole audience response and thing, which is the way they envisioned it, but they had actually never done it. And so when he did it with us, he was like, it kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of solidified the fact that that's what they were using that song for, and it actually, I'm sure they didn't need us to show them that, to help them see that it would work, but the fact that we did it, and we had 2,000 people all singing You Got Another Thing Coming with us, I know he went right back to the hotel or his house, and he called Glenn Tipton, to tell him, hey, I just played the song with these guys, and the sucker works big time.
What a great story.
That is a good story.
What would be really cool is if you had recordings of that.
I probably do. I probably do somewhere. I have like boxes and boxes of cassette tapes, and there's a lot of Surgical Steel on there, and I don't know exactly what I have, but I know that we tried to record everything, but recording wasn't as good. We were just a local band that we had our own PA, and we would try to record everything, and half the time you could just basically hear the sound man trying to pick up a girl. That was like, hey, baby, you want to go back and meet Rob? Yeah, hey, mix the band, stupid. That's a really good mix of you trying to pick up that chick. Good job.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that here's my last Rob story was that the first time that Rob got up with us, he got, and I'm pretty sure it was like Green Man Alicia or something like that. We finished the song, and we came off stage, and he's like, and again, Davey, man, I sing twice as loud as he does, and because Rob has,
you were telling me that.
Yeah, Rob sounds like, he sings loud, but he doesn't sing like as loud as you think he sings. You see what I'm saying? And
right.
and he comes up to you, he goes, man, he sings. And he's like, man, you sing fucking loud, man. And I'm like, well, and I had no idea, and it just, I got the biggest kick out of that. My little ego got stroked because of that. Because I sing twice as loud as Halford. I never dreamed that. You know what I mean? But that's my little story with him. Obviously, I knew him for years, and then after the whole entire thing went down with that lawsuit they had and everything. Rob's he changed a little bit after that for me. I thought
he did.
Yeah, I think that took a lot out of him, and I know it did. He even said it did. It just took a lot out of him, and I
think it made him less trusting.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he started to not. I think he was worried about if he was too accessible that people would take advantage of certain things of that. And because, what happened to those guys was tragic, but give me a break. It had nothing to do with Judas Priest.
Right.
You got a couple guys that are on balance to begin with, and this is what they decide to do. It has nothing to do with, they're going to do it whether it's Judas Priest or whether someone drives by them.
Right.
And,
no, I agree with that.
Them on the curb.
It was a tough time for him. He told me that because it really took a lot out of him,
Yeah.
And like what Greg said, I think his whole trust factor just went,
Yeah, I remember watching those court tapes on TV.
Yeah. And it was brutal for him, you know.
It actually, you know, again, you feel bad because of the situation, but it pisses you off at the same time because here's this guy's now trying to make money off of, you know, someone obviously gave these guys some bad advice, and you know, but the point of the thing is you have to drag everyone. It's like the whole Ozzy and the Suicide Solution thing, you know. The guy killed himself over that song or whatever it was, and if you listen to the words to Suicide Solution, it's actually against suicide.
Right.
It's not saying kill yourself. It's actually against suicide.
Right.
It's one of those things. You know, you were talking about, you know, Rob's stage volume, and which reminded me of, I was just having this conversation with someone the other day. You know, in Badlands, we were like super loud on stage. I mean, ridiculously, painfully loud on stage. And, you know, we're on tour with a couple other bands, and their sound man, they actually have really quiet stage volume. You can actually carry on a conversation on stage during their live thing. It's very quiet. And with us, it sounds like two jet engines. It's just ridiculously loud. And we loved it that way. We had this sound man, this guy, he's like a legend. His name's Night Bob. And I
remember him.
You might even, you know Night Bob. I mean, he was Nugent's sound man back in the heyday, Aerosmith, the Ramones, Kiss. He's like this legendary sound man. And when we first went on tour, I didn't know who he was. And they said, we're getting this guy, Night Bob. He's like this great sound man. And he's an old school sound man. And so you get to have actual stage volume, and then he figures out how to deal with it with the house PA, as opposed to really quiet stage volume, which makes it easier for your sound man to just use the house. Well, all the other bands we would play with would come on when we'd be doing our sound checks and go, "Oh God, this is so awesome! You guys are so loud. The Marshall actually sounds like a Marshall. Your bass amps actually sound like bass amps." I mean, I got some ringing in my ears from it. But I know it's easier to do it with
tinnitus,
without the stage volume. Man,
I played with you, Greg. I remember.
Oh yeah, I'm still loud now to this day. It's just
there is something to be said for volume on stage, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially for the band. I mean, you just feel it.
You feel it more. You feel that punch in your back from the drums, and
exactly.
Just the whole energy. Is
but a lot of singers, and let me guess, Ray never complained once.
Not ever.
Yeah.
Not ever.
No.
And Eric, when he was in the band, never complained, and Jeff never complained. It was one of those things, and I learned a valuable thing while I was in Badlands. And here it is. You know, write this down. Never go on Jake's side of the stage because it's so freaking loud that I actually got volume sickness twice. And volume sickness, if you've never had it,
I have had it.
Where you actually get kind of nauseous, and you don't even know where you're at for a second. You're like kind of like, and I went over to his side of the stage. We're playing at a place in Pittsburgh called the Syrian Mosque. And it's like a big theater, and all the famous bands from the 70s played there. Zeppelin played there, Humble Pie, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I was really enjoying playing there, and I thought, hey, I'll go over on Jake's side of the stage. You know, Jake and I would always meet in the center of the stage, and we'd have a little banter back and forth, and we would just trade off licks. And so I thought, I'll just go over on his side of the stage. Yeah, only one other time after that, just to see if it was a fluke. I don't even know how he could handle that. It was so ridiculous. There'd be people in front of his amps going, you know, they'd have this look on their face like, because it must have just been blowing their head off. And here's my Florida thing. We were playing I want to say it was Button South in Miami.
Miami, yeah. And
the stage is kind of semi-round, so it's not a flat stage straight across. It's kind of like in the shape of like
I only
a
played
C.
there once. I don't remember.
Well, so we're playing, right, and the place is packed, and we play like the first three songs, and we don't take a break till after the third song. And so this guy is motioning to me in the front of my stuff, and he's going, "Hey, can I come and talk to him?" So I lean over to see what he wants, and he goes, "Hey, could you turn down? I can't hear Jake." And I said, "Then go on that side of the stage. There's too many people." So I went over and turned someone turned my amp up. I turned it up even louder.
I've only had that experience
Volume
twice. Volume was once was well with Uli John Roth was, but fortunately we were playing big venues, so I could imagine what it would have been like if we were playing smaller venues. How loud he is, because he's ungodly loud. I mean, I remember Stu Ham putting on those things, those headphones that you wear on the tarmac, because Uli was so loud.
Yeah.
And the other was when I went and jammed with George Lynch. And this is back when George was doing juice. He was all steroid out, and I mean,
no, he wasn't. He was a natural bodybuilder.
Yeah, he looked. Natural.
Yeah, and so we're in this little schoolroom.
Sorry, George.
We all know George. Yeah,
just take the pill. We're still friends.
Well, and the thing is, George, they hook up this monitor system, because he called me and asked me to I don't know what it was. It was a train accident. Let's put it this way. And I went to this and I auditioned, and we go in this little schoolroom up in Cave Creek, and I remember that place. Yeah, and they pieced together this little monitor system. And it just squealed the whole entire time. I'm leaning back over the drum kit trying to make it not squeal. But George is, I remember I'm thinking to myself, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, seriously, he was so loud. And 30 seconds into Wicked Sensation, he's in a full lather already. He's sweating like he's going to the chair, Oh, wow. And it was just, it was ridiculous, And Anthony's like, dude, just ad lib. And I can't. Ad-lib, I can't even fucking hear. It was ridiculous. But anyways, and the third, ironically, this is a God's honest truth, Greg. The third time that I've ever got that noise, whatever was in
volume sickness.
Yeah, okay, was in Rob's SUV. He had got this new Halford's SUV. He got this new stereo system in there. I sit in the back. He cranks this thing up, and I got literally nauseous. I came so close to throwing up because the bass was
loud.
Oh, it was just rumbling my insides. It was ridiculous. I go, dude, you got to let me out of here. Let me out of this freaking thing. I mean, I was going to throw up in it. I'm going to throw up in your front seat. I mean, it was terrible.
I remember listening to Painkiller, the Judas Priest album, that way in his car, me and Keeler and someone else.
Oh, that's what he was playing. That's what he was playing. Yeah, he was playing Painkiller.
It was just like my eyeballs were rattling. You're going to love this, Greg. And my eyeballs were rattling around in my head, and I played in a band with Jake, who's the loudest guitar player I ever played with. I mean, the funny thing is, we would play and we would have side fills. So we were so loud that I actually had in my monitors in the front, I had to have my bass in it. As loud as I was playing through a minimum of 3 cabinets at all times, 3 8x10 cabinets with 2 heads. So I'm pushing over 1,000 watts. I mean, if you stand in front of my bass amp, your pant legs will rattle. It's like being in the wind. It's like being in a hurricane. And we were so loud on stage, I had to have my own bass in my front monitors where I'm supposed to just have vocals, because everything else was so loud. It was just always the volume war, but it must have sounded great out front, because people they would just talk about it. I don't know if you ever played this place, Dave. We played at a place in Orange County. I want to say it was called the Marquee. It's a big club. And we went down there to play, and the whole back wall is mirrored. And so when we were doing our sound check, after our sound check, the club manager comes up and he goes, I want you guys to look at this. So we walked back to the back wall. We cracked all the mirrors. They didn't fall off the wall, but you know how when you hit like window glass, it just shatters?
Sure.
All the mirrors on the black wall were shattered.
Jesus, that's crazy.
Oh, wow. That is crazy.
Hey, Greg, we're going to take a short break here real quick. Can you hang in there?
Yeah, can you hang on the line for 2 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll be right back.
Cool.
No problem.
The west central coast of Florida has an amazing music scene. Festivals, clubs, special performances, and there's always a lot of live music. The problem has always been getting the word out about events. Then GoTonight.com emerged on the scene. The brainstorm creation of founder Don McKeon, a Sarasota entrepreneur. We caught up with Don and his inspirational friend, Frank Papa, at the Flying Dog Cafe.
This is Frank. I'm Don. Frank is the reason that there is a GoTonight.com. He would call me repeatedly.
Where are we going? Where do you want to go? Where will we go tonight?
The website has been a boon to many small clubs. So next time you find yourself asking, where will we go tonight? you've got the answer.
I love you.
Yeah, we're back with the Hellraisers Ball, and we're being joined by Greg Chaisson, formerly of Badlands, on the line. Greg, you still out there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Right on.
Cool.
Well,
Actually, that song with the girl, with like the heavy metal song with the girl moaning, that actually sounds like a Surgical Steel live show with the sound man trying to pick up the girl.
Does it?
Having a flashback right then, actually.
Oh, awesome.
All it was missing was you'll get to meet Rob.
Maybe we could add that in.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Just dub it in.
Yeah, we could just throw it on there.
So, Greg, I appreciate everything you've been talking about so far. I mean, it's pretty cool because, that's the whole thing about doing these interviews that we've been doing. We've just been trying to keep it, just stuff that people don't get a chance to actually really get to hear. You know what I mean? Because, we can sit here and ask you the dumbass questions like, so how long you been playing bass and who's your influence and, and
Right.
what kind of bass do you play? Screw all that.
You are, Dave. You're my influence.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Tell me another one, will you?
I do. Occasionally I'll do some of those. What's your favorite color? What's your,
Yeah, but
if you could go on vacation, where would you go?
But that is stuff that people could find out just by reading articles online or in magazines or whatever. And this is like the real, behind the scenes type stories, the stuff that people don't get to hear every day.
Yeah, and those are the stories that I like to hear. Because and the interviews I like to do that I've done in the past. Because I tell you what, I've done some of those real stale 13-question interviews. It's really it's sad. I don't like doing them. But I will ask you though, this is that what do you got going on now? And I know we had Dwayne Miller from Kiel,
right.
And I know you're playing with him, and we've all played together. And tell me what's going on with those guys.
Well, I'm just lucky enough to be in a band with Dwayne, who plays in like 15 bands. So I'm just
he was telling
privileged
us.
enough. I feel so lucky that Dwayne has enough time to be in a band with me, considering that he's in a band 27 hours a day.
Wow.
Dwayne he's the consummate musician because he's in as many bands as you can possibly be in and still have a life.
Yeah.
So just kidding, Dwayne.
Yeah, no, he and again, he's just a great guy. I mean, just.
Now, I've known Dwayne since he was like a little kid. He used to be in bands that would open for bands I had. And when Keel was actually looking for a drummer, he wanted someone that wasn't part of the L.A. scene when Ron Keel was looking for one. And I had been in Steeler with Ron, and I recommended Dwayne. I said, you need to check this guy out. Plus, he sings good. And Ron really liked him and brought him to L.A., and Dwayne's had a pretty good career. He still plays in Kiel, because of that. So Dwayne's an awesome guy, awesome drummer.
Your brother was in Kiel for a while, right?
My brother was in Kiel.
Yeah.
What happened is when Steeler, we tried to get a record deal, and we should have got one. This probably sounds like a mannequin story.
Yeah.
And, we were the number one draw on the strip. A lot of bands that had record deals were opening for us. These bands already had deals, and we couldn't get one. We had a good band. The drummer was a guy named Bobby Marks. The guitar player was a guy named Kurt James, who was like an Yngwie sort of guy before everyone else, back before the 80s took off and everyone was an Yngwie guy. But he was like on the beginning of that Yngwie kind of thing, the neoclassical thing. So it was a really good band, and we wrote really good songs, but for some reason we just couldn't get a deal. And so we decided to break the band up, and Ron was actually going to join Black Sabbath. That was the deal. He he had he knew Sabbath was interested in them, and I was actually going to go play with Schenker. I had been contacted by Lieber Krebs, that people that managed Schenker at the time, saying, "Hey, we'd love to have you come and play with Schenker," because I think I'd done an interview talking about how much I loved Schenker's playing and blah blah blah. Well, Ron didn't get the Sabbath gig, and at the time, Schenker had one of his
meltdowns
episodes.
Okay.
And he didn't do a band for a while, so I ended up kind of being out in the cold on that. And then Ron decided to start a new Keel, but he wanted guys that didn't have the whole LA experience. So, Dwayne was actually the second drummer. I actually got him a guy that I'd done some sessions with named Stephen Riley, who ended up being in LA Guns. Really good drummer, really nice guy. And then he left after one album to go play with Wasp. Left Keel after one record to do Wasp, and when Ron was looking for another drummer, I recommended Dwayne, and he wanted a bass player, but he wanted, again, someone that wasn't jaded by the whole LA thing, and I said, well, get my brother Kenny, who'd only been playing like a year. And so Kenny came out and met with Ron. They kind of hit it off, and Kenny actually kind of learned to play bass while he was in Keel. So here he's only been playing bass a year or so, and he's making records, and he's going on tour, and I'm standing around here with my thumb in my eye going, hey, what just happened here?
How'd that happen?
Well, wait a minute. Did I just screw up here? I mean, I was really happy for Kenny, and because I'm really close with him still. As a matter of fact, the band that I have right now, Deep Black Lead, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, he's actually going to play bass on a couple tracks on it, so I can play drums on a couple tracks.
Right on.
Oh, okay, cool.
But so Kenny ended up going out there, and he moved out there. Him and his girlfriend, who became his wife, moved out there, and he did the whole. I think he played on maybe 7 or 8 Keel records and did all their tours, and kind of got to have the whole rock star experience. The kind of experience that you and I and most people have. You're learning how to play. You've been playing about a year. You're still playing at garages or in someone's house party. We're having a keg over at Johnny's house. You want to play? My brother's playing at Madison Square Garden.
Amazing.
In the same amount of time that during the same amount of time. So he had a great experience from that. And Dwayne also.
Right. Right.
But I have a band called Deep Black Lead, like Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and it's very 70s influenced. Dwayne is the drummer on it. And the guitar player is a guy named Ryan McKay, who plays in a band called the Crash Street Kids that are kind of like Mott the Hoople, sort of. So he's a real 70s sort of guy. And so all the songs are very 70s based, intentionally. I write 90% of the music, and so I intentionally write with all those 70s influences, so you can hear some Deep Purple and some Sabbath and some Zeppelin and some Humble Pie and some Procol Harum and some yada 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 down the line, some Free and some Bad Company. It's all in there, and I don't try to hide it. I don't rip anyone off, but I want to actually. The songs are long; they're 4 minutes long minimum. I have a 10-minute song on there. It's not heavy metal, but it's like heavy 70s blues rock.
Okay, cool.
It's pretty cool, and the singer is a guy named Michael Beck. I think believe he sang in Leatherwolf for a little while, but he owns a studio and he records all these more current kind of bands. And his influences aren't really the same as mine. He doesn't have those 70s influences. He's kind of got into the deal around the time of maybe Van Halen, like late 70s Van Halen kind of thing. So. Because he records a lot of current bands, he's really kind of got his finger on the pulse of some of the more current stuff. So we take my 70s, blatantly 70s influenced music, and then he kind of throws on his vocal ideas because he doesn't know where I get these ideas from. So it's not like if I play a song and he goes, "Is that Deep Purple, No One Came? Did you get that from?" He doesn't have a clue with that, which is perfect because when he sings, he doesn't automatically go to where I got that idea from, and so it sounds kind of different. So it's kind of like the 70s deal with a twist, and we're about 2/3 done recording the record. We've got about 9 songs recorded. We're going to record 3 more. Like I said, my brother Kenny's going to record 2 songs on bass. I'm going to play drums on a couple. And actually, there's a guitar player that I'm sure you guys are and your listeners are familiar with. Is a guy named Joe Holmes who played in Ozzy for 6 years. And a great guitar player and a really good friend of mine. I played in bands with him in L.A. before Badlands. I played in bands with him twice. He's just a fantastic guitar player, and actually he's going to come and he's going to play a couple, at least a solo, maybe two on the record. I've been trying to get Jake to do a solo on it. Frank Hannon from Tesla was talking about possibly. I did a thing with him for a record company. The Mike Gobby, one of the DJs out here, has a birthday party for his record company, and I would say the name, but I always get the two record companies confused, so I'm not going to say the wrong name. I'm just not going to say it. But he had a birthday party, and he brought in some other musicians that had done the national deal, and so Frank Hannon and I kind of reconnected, and he was interested in maybe playing on it. So by the time it gets done, I could end up having some pretty cool people on it.
Awesome.
Well, if you need me to do some harmonies, I'll come and do some harmonies with you.
There you go.
I'd love
there
to.
You go.
That'd be great.
So, because I need to. I
can't do it.
Who?
I know I can't sing that high.
Well, I can throw a harmony to anything, but I need to get back to Phoenix anyway sometime soon. So maybe I can do a 2-for-1 deal there. So
hey, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but we got a few more minutes. I just wanted to ask you, so what do you think's going to happen with this? Are you guys going to release this album? Are you going to do this anytime soon, or are you going to tour it?
Well, ideally, yeah, to all of that. I mean, we have some people interested in releasing it because the singer has some connections in the business still. Oddly enough, I don't have the same connections anymore. I've been kind of out of the loop intentionally. I kind of took myself out of it and just raised my kids. And I have 2 kids, and one plays baseball in college and one plays softball here, and I've been coaching teams they've been on. So I've been kind of doing the dad thing more than anything else. This is the first thing I've really done since Badlands from an original perspective that I've really been that interested in. So he has some connections that seem to be interested in possibly putting it out. They've sent some rough mixes to some radio stations, and I couldn't tell you who across the country that played some of it, and all the responses have been real favorable. I'm not, I don't know if we'll release it, if we'll just do the iTunes thing. I don't know how you do it anymore. I'm kind of, I can't even get the messages. My daughter has to text for me, so I don't know how the music works anymore.
Well, I can tell you this, Greg. It doesn't go on vinyl anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, it does? Doggone it. Can I get it to come out on 8-track?
Probably not.
What about on a 78?
78, there you go. Or even the 45, man. The little 45
cool.
was great,
Hey, I was so happy that when Badlands
45
came
picture
out,
disc.
that the first record came out on vinyl, right?
Yeah.
So I got the first Badlands record on vinyl, and then a couple 45s came out, and I have those. And then the second one, Voodoo Highway, came out, and it didn't come out on vinyl here in the States. And so, when we went to England to play, some guy shows up and he's got like a Voodoo Highway album. So I bought it off of him.
Oh,
you'd buy your own record.
Where'd you get that? And I'll sell it to you. How much? So I ended up buying the album so I could have it on vinyl because I'm such a dinosaur that I wanted it on vinyl. I mean,
that is
pretty
cool,
soon
though.
there won't even be CDs anymore. So what the
Probably
hell do I
not.
know?
Right, yeah. Well, no. Yeah, I don't remember the last time I bought a CD. So, well, that's cool, man. Well, you know what you need to do is if you got something, maybe you can well, if you know how, send the MP3 over to me and we can play it on the air here.
Yeah, you could
you
send
have
it to Dave.
MP3, is that some kind of weapon?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like one, doesn't it?
Is that a semi-automatic weapon?
Well, I
There's
tell
a ban on those. Isn't there a ban on multi-capacity MP3s?
Well, I can tell you what the MP3 is. You know what it killed? It killed the record industry. It killed the
really
record
did.
companies.
It did.
It killed the record companies, which that's fine with me.
I heard a while ago they were thinking about actually keeping the jewel cases for the CDs, but putting SD cards where people could
Inside
just take an SD and put it in the computer, or make it where the car stereos just accept the SD cards instead of a CD.
Mm-hmm.
But people today, they don't even need that because they have, cell phones today. You could stream music. You got your MP3s.
Yeah.
You don't even need to worry about any kind of media.
No, it makes it easy. You can have 10,000 songs on your iPod. It's like
it's ridiculous.
and not have to carry this whole thing around. So yeah. But if you
you
got
can plug your iPod into your car.
Yeah.
And although the kind of car, when I get my 70 Roadrunner, I don't think there's going to be a little thing to put my iPod in.
No,
probably not.
No.
Then I will have my 8-track.
Yeah.
Well, my first car I ever had an 8-track, and it was great.
I
So
had a '77 Grand Prix with an 8-track.
I had a what's the car that the Wayne's World had? The Pacer.
Gremlin.
I had an AMC Pacer.
Yeah, Gremlin.
I think it was great.
But you know what? You can haul a lot of gear in a Pacer. So I mean, I totally. Right now, I have my car. Right now, I have a newer Challenger, and I can't even put my bass in the back of it.
Yeah.
And never mind put a cabinet in there. So if I have to go to a gig, I had a truck, but a woman ran into me. She didn't understand that red arrow meant don't make a left turn. She thought that it meant hurry up and make a left turn.
Yeah.
So I had a nice truck to move my gear, and now I don't. So my son and I own a 2010 Challenger, which is a really cool car, except I can't even, like I said, I can't even put my bass in the back seat. It's too long.
Well, I was a singer, so I didn't have to carry anything. So I just got laid in the back of my Pacer. That's what I did.
Damn singers.
I know we suck, don't we?
Damn singers.
Well, Greg, man, I appreciate you coming on, and like I said, I'm glad you reached out to me, and because like I said, Greg and I hadn't spoken in a long time, and that's what
My fault.
well, whatever. I'm not going to point fingers at anybody. All I know is that I'm just glad for Facebook because that's how we hooked back up again. And
I appreciate it too.
Yeah, and and Facebook is you can say what you want about it. I have my moments with it. Sometimes I just like I hate this thing, but yet things like this where we can hook back up again because I mean
it's great if it's used for what it's actually intended for.
Right. I can't.
Like
I just can't stand when people get on there and start talking politics and religion. I mean, I don't care about all that crap on Facebook, but to hook up with old friends and stuff like that, especially Greg, that it worked out well, and so I appreciate it. And so
that's how besides you, there's a few people that I had lost contact with that I knew from the LA scene. One of them being, like I said, Joe Holmes. And a drummer that played in a band called Salty Dog named Kurt Meyer, who was one of my best friends. Guys, I had no idea how to get in touch with them. So when I got on Facebook, and I've only been on Facebook for like 3 months, I all of a sudden found these guys, and I ended up calling them up, and we ended up kind of reconnecting. And, they have some projects that they might want me to be involved in. I got projects that I might want them in. So it's actually, and the same thing like with, when I saw you on there, I said, I'm going to throw a line out to Dave and see what happens, and I'm really happy that I did, and I'm really happy that we reconnected. It means a lot.
Absolutely, I am too. And you know what? Just a real quick thing. You just mentioned something about Salty Dog. That whole story I was telling about when I was out in L.A. and I was staying with Jeff, and I came out to the Badlands. That's when I auditioned for Salty Dog.
Oh yeah, I remember they had some issues with band members at the time. And that drummer, I've known that drummer since I first went to L.A. and we actually played in a Zeppelin tribute band called The White together for a very, very short time, and we found out we had all this musical stuff in common. How come you didn't get that gig?
I'll tell you exactly why I didn't get the gig, and they told me because I went in there with trying to sound just like the guy.
Okay.
Because I thought that's what they'd want,
Right.
And
they wanted someone that was going to capture the same.
It'd be nice if they told you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
if they would have told me ahead of time,
we don't want this exact guy.
Right, and they didn't. And I went in, I flew out to L.A. I was in Phoenix. I flew out to L.A. and I learned the songs, and I sounded just like the guy, and I know I did. And they told me later on, they said, yeah, we just, you sound too much like him. We just don't really want to go in that direction. I go, and I remember saying the same thing Greg just said. Well, that would have been nice to know beforehand.
Well, yeah, because then you would have worked.
I would have just sang it just like,
a little bit
yeah,
different.
oh yeah, and, but you know how hard it is. You hear something, and you try to do your own thing. It's already been engraved in your head, or ingrained in your head what it sounds like. So, but anyways, that's just ironic that you brought up that Salty Dog thing. So,
well, on the same sort of thing, I in 1983, I got to go audition for Ozzy. And they had a open call on MTV where they were looking for a bass player for The Ultimate Sin for that album at the time to record that album. So I got out of these 4,000 tapes they were seeing 7 guys, and I ended up being one of the 7 guys. And if you'd heard the demo tape I sent in, you would have laughed your head off because I recorded it into my ghetto blaster without an amp, just me sitting there with my bass plunking along. and somehow I get an audition. Well, I spend like 2 weeks learning every Ozzy song and all these Sabbath songs. I fly over to England, and I fly up to Scotland. I hate flying, by the way. And so I'm petrified to fly over there. And I get there, and I'm thinking, okay, let's play some of these damn songs I already know. No, we didn't play one of those songs. So I didn't get a chance to sound like anyone else. I had to sound like me.
That sucks. It really does.
I ended up staying there for 3 weeks, and basically played while they did demos for that whole record. I think I played on every song other than the one that the bass player they eventually brought in. I ended up not getting the gig because Ozzy thought I looked like Charles Bronson.
Oh, really?
That's nice of him.
He looks like Charles Bronson in The Mechanic. Get him out of here.
The Mechanic. Great movie. Well, Greg, thanks, man. Hey, we're gonna get out of here because we're gonna do a few other things, but I appreciate all the insight and definitely.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, and definitely let's keep in touch. Make sure you keep in touch with me, and when I get out to Phoenix, maybe we'll go out.
Perfect, and I'll send you some Deep Black Lead stuff on MP3.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll find someone that knows what that means.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can send it directly to David, and also if you want to hellraisersballrocks@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Perfect. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to play another one of your videos on the way out of here too, Greg. But hey, man, thanks a lot. It's good talking to you, and give everybody my best back there in Phoenix.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
right,
partner.
great.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for talking to us. No, actually, Highwire. We have Highwire.
Winner's Call.
Winner's Call?
Yeah.
All right, let's play that one.
Greg's great, isn't he? I just love the idea that these guys they're opening up, because that's what I tell them. I have these long conversations with them. I go, look, just get on there and just talk about whatever you want. You know what I mean? And because
that's really what people want to hear.
That's what I want. I want it to be more personable, more people just opening up and just saying what they want to say, and so far everybody we've had on has done that. So
it's been great.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
And of course, that was Greg Chaisson from Badlands, and I think we have a Badlands video queued up, right? DJ Slam Durango. So this is Winter's Call from Badlands right here on the Hellraisers Bowl.
awesome, man.
Yeah. Badlands, Winter's Call, right here on the Hellraisers Bowl. And we got someone on the line? Rick, you're live on the Hellraisers Bowl.
Hey, JC, how you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Of course, this is Rick White, the sound engineer for the LA Hangout.
Oh, that's who it is. Okay.
Yeah,
Rick,
lower your the volume on your computer.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now so we don't get that delay effect.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Very cool. So, of course, Rick and I have been talking about some of the things going on at the LA Hangout, and the LA Hangout is under new management, correct?
Yeah, they actually have new owners in there now, so things are going to be changing up hopefully for the better now.
Yeah, and we were talking about some of the upcoming gigs that you got going on there, and we're going to be doing some Hellraisers Ball-related shows in the near future, correct?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was talking to David and DJ Slam Durango over here, and, you know, if April 5th works out, that would be a great time to, you know, start doing something over there, for sure.
Yeah, that might work out for us. We got some great stuff coming up, JC. This week we have Tampa Bay Music Network event going on Friday with 4 bands featuring a band called Filter and 3 others, Ben Meyer from Nasty Savage, and a couple other bands. And also Saturday we have the Papa Cherry Band.
Which is always a great show.
Third Saturday of the month, so that should be a great show as well.
And so now, moving forward in the future over there, because most people, you know, are familiar with LA Hangout for being a place where you go to see some kick-ass local cover bands.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, we're going to try to change that a little bit, right, and put some, you know, local original acts in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that I'm helping with things, I'm going to try to book what the people want. So if anybody has any ideas of who they want to hear there, feel free to have them give me a call, and I would be more than happy to look into getting them in there to play. We just had we had a new band, Gravity Down, that started this month. They did a great job. We got a couple other new bands coming in the next couple of weeks, and we got Unchained Chaos is going to be there on the 30th. They're from Ocala. They're an excellent band. I got Earl Brown coming in there with Earl Brown's Eruption on the 23rd. You got a lot of new bands and new things happening, and it should be a positive thing here.
Yeah, in fact, we were talking about promoting some of the shows and having some of the acts that are going to be playing at the LA Hangout actually come on to Hellraisers Bowl and either do like you know, like an acoustic performance here, or at least come in and promote some of the gigs that are going on there. And Earl Brown is no stranger to the Hellraisers Bowl. Actually, we were his first radio interview that he ever did, and so I'm sure he wouldn't mind coming in and doing some stuff with us.
Yes.
In fact,
absolutely.
We had spoken a while ago about doing a country episode of Hellraisers Bowl, and I think Soul Circus Cowboys is going to be playing over at LA Hangout, and so that might be a really good opportunity for us to do that.
Soul Circus Cowboys will be playing March 29th on Friday night.
Being that there's so many people that, you know, are friends of myself that are in that band, and a lot of the guys actually in that band are actually rockers.
Yes.
Yeah, so that should be kind of cool. And so,
yeah.
What's so funny?
I don't know, just kind of like, yeah, all right. Just kind of like, all right.
Well,
That just kind of, I don't know, just struck me funny. I don't know.
One night.
I see you have Angie sitting next to you.
Hi, Rick.
Yes,
How
we
are
have
you,
Angie
honey?
Campbell.
Hi, Angie.
Hi, sweetheart.
Angie's got a great band, Den of Thieves, and they will also be playing there this next coming month.
Love the LA Hangout.
Everybody should come see them. They will be playing April
Place
27th,
rocks.
which will be Saturday night. And they're awesome. Everybody should come see this band.
Yeah, thank
Actually,
you.
I don't even think I have that on my list here, Angie.
I don't? No, because it's next month. It's not this month.
Oh, it's not this month?
No, it's
Oh,
next
okay.
month.
It's next month coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. All right, Rick. So if people want to find out more about how to get booked over at LA Hangout, or if they want to submit any demos or whatever to you, is there an email or whatever for them to contact you?
Yes, they can contact us at hangoutbar2@gmail.com if they'd like to send email. And there's also a website up now, hangout.xp3.biz.
Now, that's a temporary website for the time being,
Yeah,
right?
it's a little small single-page deal I put up. It has an active map on it, links to the Facebook, as well as the phone number of the club, and a calendar of all the events that are up and coming, which is the most important stuff that we need right now.
Okay, very cool. And repeat it again, because I know, for me, I had to actually write it down when you told me the first time.
Yeah, it's hangout.xp3.biz. So XP, like Windows XP, and the number 3.biz, B-I-Z.
Okay, very cool. All right, cool. Definitely looking forward to doing some work over there and having Hellraisers Ball coming to the LA Hangout. Should be a good time. So keep us posted on what's going on, and we'll try to get out to some of the events going on over there. And
that sounds great.
And you and I will work more on getting some really kick-ass local bands in there. I'm sure it'll be great.
I'm looking forward to it, JC. If you like, give me a call tomorrow, and we'll touch base on the April 5th thing. Maybe that would be a great opportunity.
Okay, awesome. I will definitely talk to you then.
See you soon, Rick, okay?
Okay, Angie. You too.
Take it easy, Rick.
All right, take it easy, Rick.
Okay, you guys have a great night, and thank you so much for having me on.
Bye.
No problem.
Thanks, bro.
Anytime.
So Angie's got some other gigs for...
Yeah. The rest of March is booked. Next weekend, we're going to be at The Zone, which is a great bar in Tarpon Springs. And it's just beautiful. It's really, really cool. It's right on Tarpon Ave. It's really down by the Sponge Docks.
Now, is
It's
that
gorgeous.
actually this coming Friday?
No. Yeah, this coming Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Billy G's after that. And it's Patty's birthday. Patty is her and the cat that sings for Big Deal.
Oh, yeah, Tommy Rock.
Patty Tommy.
Yeah, Patricia Walker.
She usually has those parties at her house, but I guess it got to be too big, so they're going to have the party at the bar.
How cool is that?
It's going to be a really big to-do.
All right, very cool.
And
that's going to be on March 16th,
Patty's,
right?
Yeah, St. Patty's Patty. It's St. Patty's Patty party.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then I think the following Thursday, we're opening up for Enough's Enough.
Over at the State Theater?
The State Theater, yeah, that's going to be a really good show. I think the Love Dogs are playing that show too.
Okay.
If I'm not
Cool.
mistaken, I could be.
Yeah.
I'm out of the loop.
That would be a great show for
Yeah.
us to come out and
Yeah, it's going to
maybe
be
get some
fun.
video.
It's going to be a really good time. And then the Beer Shed. I can't wait to go back to the Beer Shed on a Sunday afternoon. I've been to see Sobriety X like 5 times at the Beer Shed on Sunday afternoon. I can't tell you how much fun we have over at that place.
It is a blast.
They're not letting anybody.
You drink beer over there?
I drink beer, and then somebody always
A lot
brings
of
in
it?
a bottle of Jaeger. Somebody
you go.
always, and there's hot girls are tending bar, and they dance on the fucking bar. It's I can say that
I
right.
remember the
Well, yeah,
first
we're on
time.
the internet. You can
Oh,
get
yeah,
away
that's
with
right.
that. Yeah.
We
The
have
first
so
time I
much
tried
fun.
to go to the beer shed, I actually lost my cell phone. I left it on top of my car, and I drove off, and there went the cell phone.
It's a really cool place. It's in Riverview.
But you had your beer, right?
No, I never. I actually made it almost all the way to. No, check this out. I made it almost all the way to the beer shed, just like blocks away from where the location is, and then I realized I didn't have my phone, and so I hightailed it back to my house.
At least it wasn't
because
it
I
wasn't
figured
your
it
baby.
flew off of my car pulling out of my driveway.
Baby up there.
Of course, I never found the cell phone, but that left a bad, kind of left a bad taste in my mouth as far as going back there.
And
So
it's
it
not
took
the
me- it took
bar's
me-
fault
I know.
that you're.
So it took me a while to actually get there to see a gig, but when I finally did, I had such a great time. It really is a cool place to
It's
see a
great.
band, and you would think on a Sunday afternoon, but it's a really good place.
It's a ball. And Sobriety
it's
X
a lot
tore
of
it up,
fun.
and I can't wait to tear it up.
Yeah, that's going to be a great
Those
show.
girls in there are so cool. The guy that owns the place is awesome. His girlfriend, his wife or whatever, she is just hot and fucking. She's a blast to hang out with. They love to drink and party, and they're so much fun. And we're gonna go rock the place. And then Whiskey Willie's at the end of the month. I can't wait to get back up to Lutz, Land of Lakes. It's a good time up
cool.
there. Really
and
good
so
time.
if people want to find the band schedule for Den of Thieves,
Den of Thieves on Facebook. Look at the event page, and it's all in black and white.
okay, very cool. And
Den Mother has spoken.
there you go. The Den Mother has spoken. And we were supposed to actually have another phone interview, which I guess we probably wouldn't have had time for.
You know what? I'm
anyhow.
glad. I'm glad that didn't happen.
I don't know how it didn't happen, but we did have one phone call come in from an unknown caller. But I do want to put a special shout out to Talon Black and the guys from Melrose. They're going to be playing over at the State Theater this coming Friday on March 15th, and they're going to be in support of Bang Tango. And actually, I think they're going on. I think Bang Tango actually goes on first, and they're going on last. I don't know how that's happening.
Well, it's probably because the Bang Tango wants to go on during the prime time, and because I've done that. We've done that a lot where we've had bands go on after us.
Yeah.
Because the prime time to be on stage is like 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11, whatever, and then 12:30 rolls around. People are pretty well burned out and they're ready to go home. So that's how it usually works.
Yeah.
So.
But
I don't know. I want one more drink.
You want one more drink?
I want one more drink after the band's done. Somebody better just go up there and entertain me, humor me for a little while longer,
So, I know there's a lot of other things going on this coming Friday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Queensryche with Tyler Torrey playing over at the Ritz in Ybor City.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going to be. And it's still not edged in stone yet, but they've been talking about me getting up singing with them, and I hope it works out because I'm a big fan of Queensryche, always have been, and it would be absolutely a blast to sing with my friend Todd. So
yeah, I think that'll be a great show to be in. That's definitely where I'm going to be. And where
are you going to be? Are you going to be at that show?
Has DJ Slam Durango decided where he's going?
But yeah, if I'm going to go,
why is that, buddy? Why is that?
Where is it? Is it in St. Pete?
No.
Yeah. So no, it's actually it's in Ybor. It's at the Ritz in Ybor City.
It's at Jack's on Gulf to Bay. You can walk across the street.
You need the designated driver.
There's going to be a lot of great shows all over. Including of course Queensryche with Tyler Torrey and Den of Thieves over at the Zone and Melrose over at.
Yeah, but if you asked her where she'd rather be that night,
ask me. I'm coming down with a sore throat. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sing.
Yeah, that could
I feel bad.
You're burning up.
That show so is it a possibility the show can get canceled?
From the Zone? I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, you like that place, right?
It's possible.
Yeah, they got hot owners from the Zone. Actually.
Oh, really?
Actually, didn't
we
have
their own radio show too?
Well, actually, we had. Didn't we have the award ceremony?
Yep, the award ceremony was there too as well.
Yeah.
It's a great bar, man. It's just
the fake.
Where's this place at?
The fake.
Where's it at?
It's on Tarpon Ave in Tarpon Springs.
Oh, okay. All right.
Actually,
really cool.
Hellraisers Bowl won the People's Choice Award for RockSlamRadio.com. And
how many people are watching right now? Calling right this minute,
as far as I'm concerned, the only awards that counted the entire night were the People's Choice Awards, because those are the awards that the people actually voted for. That's the popular choice, and everything else I think was political and kind of fixed.
Yeah, what people
honestly.
though? What people?
I still
Those four people that have been watching all night.
Right. Well,
wow,
you know
man.
what though? There's a lot more people watching than you think there is. Those numbers are not
accurate.
accurate.
Say goodnight, JC.
Possibly, I will.
Good night,
But
JC.
what I did want to mention before we wrap is the anniversary for Hellraisers Bowl. The anniversary of the first show is coming up on March 27th. It's going to be the 1 year anniversary.
I've been here that long, 1 year. Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be 1 year. And so
can we just play all the videos all in the same 2 hours?
Actually, to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the show, we're going to have a few different events that we're going to plan out. One, of course, is going to be over at the LA Hangout. We already have the very last event planned out, which is going to be on April 27th over at Bourbon Street in Newport Richey, and that's going to be the final Hellraisers Bowl celebration over there. Not sure exactly what we're going to call it yet, but if there are any bands that want to participate or anybody that wants to sponsor the event, they can contact me at hellraisersbowlrocks@gmail.com, and we'll get you on the bill, or we'll make sure that you're a part of the event. And that's pretty much it. Tonight's show was being brought to you by Sam Ash Music Stores on Dale Mabry Highway in Tampa, Florida. Go to Sam Ash Music Stores on Dale Mabry Highway, see sales manager Eddie Keffel, and he'll give you some great deals on some new gear or trade in your old gear.
Who?
And make sure Eddie Keffel.
Okay.
DJ Slam Durango.
A.K.A. DJ Slam Durango.
I'm trying to figure out why we call him that if you're just going to tell him what his name is. Why don't we just call him Eddie?
Well, no, because he had. Well,
I mean, seriously.
That's his handle.
All right.
No.
He has his stage name.
All right. My name's. I want my name. I want my name to be the Angry Inch from now on.
The Angry Inch.
Yeah. All right.
No, that's too much like Angry Tim.
Is that?
No,
Oh
you
yeah.
can't
Yeah.
have
Well,
Angry
we
Inch.
got. Yeah, well, you
I met him.
got Angry
Angry
Tim
Itch.
from the Stairgrounds
I've met him.
and 16 Second Staff fame.
That sounds like a cool band name, Angry Itch.
You look Inch.
No, Itch.
Itch. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of a
'Cause
shame
you got
that
that one, and you're like, yeah,
Is that where you get the free comb, the little comb that comes with it?
It's
If they're going to come to the door, or what?
kind of a shame that we couldn't do the Hellraisers Ball anniversary at the Stairgrounds.
Did we
since,
touch a button there, honey, or what?
You know, the anniversary of the
Getting into my drinking time here.
grand opening, the March Madness celebration we did last year is actually coming up, right? Isn't it like within the next week or so?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We did the VIP. You remember the VIP party?
Yeah,
That was kind of cool.
that was
And
kind of cool.
then we had the 3-day
Well,
event.
we had the soft opening, which was I think March 3rd.
Where is Angry Tim nowadays?
I just saw him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he's around.
Yeah.
He's actually over at the Stairgrounds.
Yeah.
I know he's getting ready.
We played a song
Mr. Grin.
before the show started. I don't know if you were listening.
Yeah, Mama.
I played Mama, yeah.
Yeah, no, I heard it.
From
Actually-
16 Second Stare, which we play 16 Second Stare every time we play this.
Yeah, we still play 16 Seconds there, even though we're no longer exclusively the show on Rock
Why
Slam
is
Radio.
that? Why are we not exclusive?
I don't know, because they are traitors in our midst. They're,
Oh God, please.
don't get me don't
Yeah,
get
really,
me started.
just,
Don't get me
my-
started.
Should we bomb this place?
I got my
after we
boots
leave?
on because the
Let's just
shit's getting
bomb
deep,
it.
man.
What's that?
We'll just bomb the studio. That way we could be the last show ever to be heard from the studio.
Yeah, that might work out pretty well actually. And so I want to thank everyone that tuned in tonight, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for having me.
I love you.
The west central coast of Florida has an amazing music scene. Festivals, clubs, special performances, and there's always a lot of live music. The problem has always been getting the word out about events. Then GoTonight.com emerged on the scene. The brainstorm creation of founder Don McKeon, a Sarasota entrepreneur. We caught up with Don and his inspirational friend, Frank Papa, at the Flying Dog Cafe.
This is Frank. I'm Don. Frank is the reason that there is a GoTonight.com. He would call me repeatedly.
Where are we going? Where do you want to go? Where will we go tonight?
The website has been a boon to many small clubs. So next time you find yourself asking, where will we go tonight? You've got the answer.